for this video, we're talking about Introduction to Circles Notes. And this is not just the circles you've been doing since kindergarten. These are the ones where we're actually talking about how to draw them correctly with the equations. So our entry today, it says entry 25. Yours may be different depending on where we are in your notebook. The standard we're talking about in particular is MM3G1, where students will investigate the relationships between lines and circles, and we will find equations of circles, and we will graph circles given the equation in general form. So first off, we got to talk about what general form of a conic equation is, and the standard circle equation. Now, the general conic equation is used because there are 4 different types of conics. There's circles, there's ellipses, there's hyperbolas, and parabolas. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start up our recording. So the general conic equation, it's really long. It's ax squared plus by squared. Oh, that's supposed to be a y right there. It's supposed to be a y. Plus cxy plus dx plus ey plus f equals 0. It's really, really long. And then we have our standard form of a circle equation, which is our x squared plus y squared equals r squared. And we'll get more into that here in just a minute of what that means in particular. Then the next thing we need are what are the requirements for the equation of a circle. First up, we have to have some sort of center. So we got to know where to start graphing our circle from. The second thing we need is we need a radius. Because if you think a circle, every direction is the same distance, which is that definition of the radius. Alright, let's move on to our next slide. And we're going to talk about this time what the graph of a circle looks like. And we know what these look like. Let's go through. Let's start our recording. We do have that center. Most of the time it's sitting at the origin. If it's not, it's going to tell you in the equation. And then you've got these points that are going to be equidistant from the center. In this case, represented by our red points right here. Now, the distance from the center to those points, that's called our radius. And then all we're going to do is we're going to play connect the dots and connect our points to draw our graph of the circle. I know this one doesn't look perfect. It looks kind of like a lemon. But that's what happens sometimes when you freehand. Next thing we're going into is how to write the equation of a circle if it doesn't have a center at 0, 0. So I'm going to go ahead and start our recording. The way it's going to look if your center is not at 0, 0 is it's going to be x minus h squared plus our y minus k squared equals r squared, where h and k represent our center and we put the opposites into the equation, and then r squared is going to be whatever our radius is squared. So I'm going to let my little handwriting catch up with me. Now the next part says to write the equation of a circle with its center at -1, 3 and a radius of 6. So since -1 and 3 are my center, I need to put the opposites in. So that's where I'm getting my x plus 1 squared right here, and then my y minus 3 squared here. And then since my radius is always the square of this, you got to think 6 squared is 36. And now it's going to ask us to graph our circle. So we know our center, -1, 3. So -1, 3 is right there. And since our radius is 6, we're going to go each direction, up, down, left, and right, and put our point 6 spaces away. So here's one 6 spaces up. There's one up. There's to the left. There's to the right. And all we need to do now is play connect the dots. And we have finished it. At this point, we're going to go through. There are 2 problems here, each one with 2 parts. And we'll take a minute, pause the recording, go through and try them. Alright, here come the answers. So, for the original equation, you could have done it one of 2 ways. You could have done it with putting the actual center of 0, 0 in, or because it is 0, 0, you can leave them out and leave it as x squared plus y squared equals 9. And then the second part, we need to graph it. So our center is at the origin, 0, 0, and our radius is 3, so count 3 left, 3 up, 3 right, and 3 down, and play connect the dots and draw your circle. And there we go. Our next one. We're told we have a center at 0, 0 and a radius of square root of 2. The radius gets a little tricky here. You gotta think you gotta square it, and when you have a square root and you square it, the root cancels itself out. So it's going to equal R2. Now the same as with the other one, this one can be written either of the 2 ways. You can either put the zeros in or you can. Now we gotta graph that circle from the last that we just did. So we have our center 0, 0. Now we had to think square root of 2. So if you have to, in your calculator, go through square root of 2 is going to equal about 1.4. So go 1.4 Go up, right, down, and left. Let's go counterclockwise this time. And let's play connect the dots. And there we go. There is your circle.